Okay, this is CCEA paper mathematics. It is M3 calculator paper and it's from May 2018. So let's take a wee look then at question 1. Write two prime numbers between 60 and 70. Obviously they have to be odd, so 61, 63, 65, 67. And the ones that are prime is going to be 61 then and 67. Which of these is both a square number and a cube number? 100 is just square. That's a cube number, and so it's going to be 64 because it's 4 cubed. It's also 8 squared. So the answer then is 64. Write 3/8 as a decimal. Do it whatever way you want, but you do 8 divided into 3, and you end up with 0.375. Of course, just do 3 divided by 8 in your calculator. You'll get there as well. £9 as a percentage of 16, so it's going to be 9 over 16 multiplied by 100%, and it gives us 56.25%. Question 2. Bikes normally cost £B each. In a sale they're reduced by £30. Write an expression for the cost of the bike in the sale, so that's going to be, of course, B minus 30. Helmets normally cost £8 each. In a sale they're reduced to half price. Write an expression for the cost of a cycling helmet. It's going to be then a half H, or H over 2. Write an expression then for the total cost of 4 bikes and 4 cycling helmets in the sale. So that would be 4 upon B minus 30 plus 4 upon a half H. Multiplying out then, we're going to have 4b minus 120 plus 2h, and that would give us our answer if we write that in there. So with 4b minus 120 plus 2h. Question 3. Solve the equation 5y plus 4 is 24. If we subtract 4 from both sides, we'll get 5y is 20. Dividing both sides by 5, we of course then get y equals 4. So answer then of y equals 4. Question 4. The packaging for a tube of toothpaste is a cuboid which is 16 times 5 times 4. That's it here. The manufacturer wants to be able to pack 150 of these into this cardboard box. This cuboid measures 48, 35, 28. Will the box be big enough to hold 150 tubes of toothpaste in their packaging? You must show all your working out. So if this is 16 and that's 48, then 48 divided by 16 is 3. So we'll be able to fit 3 in there going along that way, if you can kind of see that. Going this way, if we have our 5, so it is 35 divided by 5, so it will be 7. So you can just see all the wee kind of ends going along that way there. And then we have 4 high, and that's 28. So the sum we're going to do is 28 divided by 4, which gives us 7. So if it's going to be 7 then going up like that, so we have 7 times 7, which is 49, and then times by the 3. If we multiply this out, 7 times 7 times 3 gives 147, and so the answer then is going to be no. It doesn't quite fit in. If you do it by finding the volume of this and the volume of this, I'm not sure if you can get full marks, because it's not necessarily true that even if the volume fits in that they will be able to pack them in, but the way we have done it there I think explains it okay. Number 5, male and female care assistants work in a nursing home. Some can work weekdays only, some can work weekends only, and some can work both. Complete the two-way table below. So what do we have here? 3 and 10 is 13, so that must be an 8 going there. Something plus 3 gives us 8, so that had to be a 5. 1 and 5 and 2 is going to give us that. 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 8, and then 8 plus something gives us 21, is going to then be 13. how many male care assistants can work on the weekends? And our answer then is male, and these ones and these ones, so the answer then is going to be 7. Question 6. John has a telephone with the following costs: $18.99 per month and the call charge of 5.8p per minute. He made calls lasting 385 minutes. So what's his telephone bill? So it's 385 multiplied by 5.8 pence. And that comes to 2233. Remember, that's pence, of course. And so it's so it's going to be £22.33 plus £18.99, and that comes into £41.32. Okay, question 7 then. PQR is an isosceles triangle. PQ equals PR, and QRS is a straight line. Work out the size of the angle marked X. So that's 70, and those two angles then must be the same. So 180 take away 70 is 110. And 110 divided by 2 gives us 55. So the size of X then must be 55. Of course, if that's 55, then that's going to be 55. So Y is going to be 180 take away 55, and that gives us 125. That's part A. Part B. Part C, then write down the values of X and Y. X there, can you see that makes like one of the F shapes? So those are corresponding angles. That's a terrible diagram, but those are two angles the same. So X in is 33, and these two are alternate. They're parallel lines, so they're both the same as well, and so that is the angle then of 54. Question 8. The life expectancy for males in 12 countries in Africa for 2015 is shown in the following stem and leaf diagram. How many of these countries had a life expectancy for males of less than 58? So there's our 58 there. So these ones are less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the countries. For the above data, work out the median. So if there are 12 of them, we're looking halfway in between 6 and 7. So they're in order here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So halfway between 58 and 58 is, of course, then 58. The range is the biggest, take away the smallest. So the biggest value then we have obviously is 73, and the smallest value is 49. So we have 73 subtract 49, and that gives us then a range of 24. Over the page then for part C. In 1975, the life expectancy in the same 12 countries had a median of 49 and a range of 30. Compare the life expectancy in the two countries with life expectancy for males in 1975. So obviously the median is higher in 2015, and the range is smaller in 2015 would be the two obvious comments then to make about that. Question 10. Sue is training to compete in a 10-kilometre walk. The diagram of our local athletics track is shown below. The track consists of a rectangle and 2 semicircles. How many complete laps are needed to ensure that she walks 10 kilometres? So we need to find the distance around this. I hope you can see that's 150, that's 150, and then these are 2 parts of the circle. But if we just work out the circumference of the circle, that will give us that plus that already added on. So we're going to do circumference is pi d, and so that's pi multiplied by 50. I hope again you can see that that's the diameter, and that gives us 157.0796. So that's the distance round those two bits, and then we're going to add 300 to that. So 300 plus 157.096 gives, of course, 457.096. We then need to, that's the amount of meters round, and she is walking 10k, so it's going to be then 10,000 divided by 457.096. Good to keep the decimal places in there where you can, and that gives then 21.8. So she would need to do then 22 laps to get round. Question 10. Pat buys 30 boxes of crisps. Each box contains 48 packets. He sells 80% at 60p a packet. How many packets does he sell at this price? So we need to work out how many boxes, how many crisps he has. Isn't that right? Let's see. So we're going to do 30 times 48, which gives us 1440. And we want 80% of 1440. So you could find 1% and then find 80%. Whatever way you want to go about that would be fine, but it ends up giving us 1152. So how much does he sell them for? It is 1152, and it's 60p, obviously. 1152 times 60p. That gives us 69120 pence. So that's £691.20. He sells the rest for 20p a packet. Pat paid £25 for each box of crisps. Does Pat make a profit or loss, and how much is this profit or loss? So he sells the rest. So how much then are the rest going to be? It's going to be 1440 take away 1152, and that gives us 288. So 288 times by 20p, so 288 packets were the ones that he sold then for 20p, and that gives us £57.60. So our £57.60, let me see, so £691.20 plus £57.60, 691.20 plus £57.60 equals £748.80. So that's how much he sold them all for, and how much were they? Were £25 per box. So it's £25 times 30 boxes, and that is 750. So we ended up making a loss just about of that, taken away from that. So he makes a loss, and then 750 take away £748.80 is a loss of £1.20 after all that. Question 11. A group of pupils do a first aid course over 8 nights. There is a test at the end of the course. The table shows the number of nights each pupil missed and their test score. The first 4 points are plotted in the scatter graph already. So those ones in bold there have already been plotted. We need to plot the rest. So we need to plot 2 and 80. So there's 2 there. Hopefully you can see this. 2 and 80. We're going to plot. We're going to plot, what's next? 1 and 82. So these wee tiny squares go up in 2s. I hope you can see that. 0 and 86. So there's 0. 86 is going to be here. Our next one is 5 and 42. Our next one is 1 and 76. Our next one is 5 and 46. And so we end up then with that. Plot the last 6 points over the page and see what it asks. Draw a line of best fit, and then it says another pupil missed 4 nights of the course. Use the graph to estimate their test score. So our line of best fit, I hope we can see it's going this way here. We're generally looking for half above and half below the line, and generally getting the flavour of a line. So if I draw my line of best fit somewhere around here, I hope we're in vague agreement that this. Maybe it should be slightly higher, slightly bent round like that, but that's okay. Someone else missed 4, so what would you expect them to get? Again, show the examiner you're working here, draw your line in here, draw an arrow going up like that, and then going across. Now, this I'm going to say is a photocopy, so it hasn't come out that well, but I think that's going to be then 54. That's my estimate then for their score. What type of correlation does your graph show? As this gets bigger, this one gets smaller, so that's then going to be a negative correlation. So that's our answer to that one. Question 12 then, each player in a group of 15 players scored either 2 goals or X goals. The mean was 3, so we need to calculate X. So how would we find the mean if we were doing things then as normal? Well, we would be doing this, so it is 15, so we find the total of the frequency, and then we do frequency times X, if you want, so not that X. If we go for the number of goals, so 2 times that would be 20, and then that would be 5x, and we add those two together, and we then do this divided by this, and we should end up then with 3. So it should be then 20 plus 5x divided by 15 equals 3. That's the way we work it out. How do you solve something like that? We multiply through everything by 15, so 20 plus 5x is 45. Taking away 20 from both sides, 5x is 25, and we get an answer then of x equals 5. Question 13. A garden has a flower bed in the corner. The diagram of the garden is shown below. Calculate the area of the flower bed. So that's a triangle. So area then is half the base times the height. So our area is a half multiplied by 4.8 multiplied by 3.6, and that gives us then, if you put that in your calculator, 8.64. There's a small fence along AB separating the flower bed from the grass area. How long is the fence? So it's this distance here, and I hope then we see we're going to have to use Pythagoras for this because it's a right angle triangle and we're trying to find this. So this is our longest side, which we're going to call C, and then A and B. So the length of the fence is our C, and we know that C squared equals A squared plus B squared. C squared is 3.6 squared plus 4.8 squared. C squared, let's see, 3.6 squared plus 4.8 squared. That gives us 36. That's a nice number, and that means C then is going to be 6. Question 14. Last year a company spent a total of £2,400 on advertising. This year they spent £2,796. What is the percentage increase in spending? So we need to find the increase in spending, never mind the percentage first of all. So it's 2,796, take away 2,400, and that gives us 396. 396 then as a percentage of 2,400. So 396 over 2,400 multiplied by 100% gives us then 16.5. Next one, a little bit of algebra. Solve the equation. So we need to multiply our bracket first of all. So we're going to get that P plus 15 equals 8P minus 6. Taking away P from both sides, we have 15 equals 7P. Take away 6. We want to get the P on its own here, so we're going to add 6 to both sides. 21 is 7P. Then we're going to divide by 7. and we're going to get 3 is P. So our answer then is P equals 3. Question 16. Best Bank offers a 3-year investment account with a fixed compound interest rate of 1.75%. Mr. Lucas invests £8,000 in this account. What's the value of investment at the end of the 3-year period? There's quick ways of doing this, there's slow ways of doing this, and I go sort of a halfway house here. So we start off with 8,000. 1% is of course going to be £80. 1.75% then, as we times this, it's 80 times by 1.75, and that gives us £140. That means after 1 year he has £8,140. We do the same for 2 years and then for 3 years. So find 1% of this. £81.40, find 1.75%, and then we add it on. Now there are slightly quicker ways of doing this, but do whatever you're comfortable with. So 8140. So after 2 years then it was 8282.45. 8282.45, and then after 3 years it is 8427.39. So that's our final answer, £8,427.39. Question 17. At a concert, 40% of the audience are children. 1/3 of the rest are men, so the rest is 60%. So 1/3 of the 60%, and it must be 20% are men. That means 60%, 20% are men. That means 40% must be women. And there are 120. So if we find 1%, which is 120 divided by 40, which is 3, then 100% must be 300. So there were 300 people then in the audience. You can do it by fractions as well, but I think that's probably one of our most straightforward ways of doing it. Question 18. A cylindrical tank has a diameter of 80 centimeters and a height of 150 centimeters is shown. Calculate the volume of water the tank can hold when full. So we want to find the area of this, which is pi r squared, and then times it by h. That's going to give us our volume in centimeters cubed. So volume is pi r squared h. So our volume is pi. Remember, our radius here is just 40. Multiplied by 40 squared, multiplied then by 150, and we get a value, quite a high one, 753,982, and that's centimeters cubed. We're asked for it in litres, and so we need to know that 1 litre is 1,000 centimeters cubed. So we're going to divide this by 1,000. That's quite easy. Just bring our decimal point into here, and to the nearest litre then it's 753.9, so it's going to be 754. Question 19. Peter, John and Matthew are 3 brothers. Peter is 10 years old, John is X years old, Matthew is a year younger than twice John's age. The mean of their ages is 7. Find John's age. So Peter is 10, John is X, and Matt, let's see if I can work out Matt's age. Matt is a year younger than twice, so twice John's age is 2x, but he's not at age, he's a year younger, and the mean of their ages is 7. If there's 3 of them, that means the 3 ages must add up to 3 times 7, which is of course then 21. So this plus this plus this must give us 21, and we can find our x then from there. So 10 plus x plus 2x minus 1 is 21. Tidying up the left hand side, 3x plus 9 is 21, 3x is 12, and it means then that x must be 4. So that's John's age, which was x. So our answer then is going to be 4. Question 20. Which average, mean, mode or median would be most suitable for each set of data? Explain your choice. One value appears much more frequently than the others, and it is not at the upper or lower end of the data. So that is, one value appears much more frequently than the others, and it is not at the upper or lower end of the data. So that's going to be then mode. Because the most common result is what best represents the data. Best, I can't spell represents the data. Okay, the data is fairly evenly spread, but there is one extreme value at the upper end. The mean would be messed up with that, and so we would have to then pick the median, as it's unaffected by one extreme value. So that should be our answers into number 20. Number 21. School timetable is being arranged. The day can be arranged into 30-minute classes, 50-minute classes, 60-minute classes. No matter which of the three choices is made, the total daily teaching time will be the same. Ignoring the time for break or lunch, what is the daily teaching time? So we want to find the lowest common multiple of these. So it's 30 and 50 and 60. We of course can do it as a product of primes, but I'm just going to go up in kind of 50s or 60s here and see how I get on. There's a funny thing here with 30 and 60. If it goes into 6, if 60 goes into it, then of course 30 goes into it, so we can nearly ignore this one for the minute. I'm going to go up in 60s and see what value of 60 we hit so that 50 divides into it. 50 doesn't go into 60, so we get 2 60s, which are 120. 50 doesn't go into that. 3 60s are 180. 50 doesn't go into that. 4 60s, 240. It doesn't go into that. 5 60s are of course 350, goes into that, and of course 30 is going to go into that as well, so we have no issue. So it must be then 300 minutes, and 300 minutes of course is then going to be 5 hours. Solve the equation 2x minus 1 over 3 plus x plus 2 over 2 plus x plus 6 is 8. A couple of different ways of doing this one. The way I'm going to do it is to make the denominator the same for each of these. So I'm going to make it 6. So I'm going to times top and bottom for this one by 2. That gives me 4x minus 2 over 6 plus times top and bottom of this one by 3 to make it 6. So 3x plus 6 over 6 plus x over 6 equals 8. I'm now going to times through this whole equation by 6. The idea then is to get rid of the fractions. Now if you times through by 6 there, it's going to work as well, but it's just a little bit more straightforward this way. Times this by 6, I get 4x minus 2, times this by 6 plus 3x plus 6, times this by 6 plus x, and don't forget that times this by 6 gives me 48. Join together my like terms. I am going to have 4x, 3x and x, so I have 8x plus 4 equals 48. I then have 8x is 44, and so x in this case is going to be 5.5. Question 23, factorize y squared minus 6y plus 8. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give us 8, and the same two numbers add to give us minus 6. So those two values then are going to have to be minus 2 and minus 4. Quite often good to do a wee check here to make sure you do get the question. So I'm going to do FOIL here. Y times y is y squared. Outer minus 4y. Inner minus 2y, and last plus 8. If I tidy that up, I get my +8 there and the -6, so this must be right. Now don't make the mistake and put this where the answer is. This here is our answer. This was just a wee check. So it's y minus 2 upon y minus 4. A rectangle and a square have the same length of diagonal. Calculate the length of the side of the square. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So we're going to find the length of this using this here and then put it into here and see if we can find the length then of the square. So this here is a right angle triangle, obviously, and let's label our sides. We know that that's A and we're looking for H, so we're going to be using cos here. So it's going to be cos x equals A over H. Cos x is 53.13 equals 9 over H. If we times through by H, we get H times cos 53.13 equals 9, and then divide by cos 53.13. So we have 9 over cos 53.13. If you put that into your calculator, you effectively get 15. It's 14.999996. So we end up with 15, which is a nice enough number then to deal with that. That means we know that this is 15. You can do this bit a couple of different ways to find the length here. You can use Pythagoras because those are both the same size. We get a squared plus a squared is 15 squared. But I think it's even more convenient. You realize that's 45 degrees. Then we can find our side then from here. So we're going to find this side here. Again, this is A and this is H. So we're going to use cos. So we have cos x equals A over H. Cos 45 equals A over 15. A is 15 cos 45, and if you put that into your calculator, then you should get 10.6. Question 25 then. The composite shape consists of a right angled isosceles triangle and a semicircle. Show the area of the composite shape is approximately 1.285 meters squared. So we need to work out the area of this and the area of this. First of all, the area of our wee triangle. That's 1 and that's 1. Half the base times the height if you want, but I can just see that that's half a square, and so the area of that is going to be a half. For the area of our semicircle, it's a good bit tougher. We need to find this length here, and the only way to find this length here is to use Pythagoras for this. So we are going to do our 1 and our 1, and that's C, and that's A, and that's B. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. C squared is 1 squared plus 1 squared, and so C ends up being the square root of 2. Which is 1.4142. So how does that help us? That means we know this here is 1.4141. So that's our diameter. So we need a radius then to work that out. So the area of a circle is equal to pi r squared. So we want a half pi r squared. So it's going to be a half times pi, and then our r, remember, is then going to be half of this. So we need to divide that by 2, and we get 0.707. So it's 0.707 squared. So there's quite a lot going on there. I hope you follow that. Because the area of a circle is pi r squared. So our half of a circle, which is what we want here, is a half pi r squared. So it's a half times pi times r squared. And what's r? We've just worked out that this is 1.414, so r is half of that, so it's 0.707 squared. If you put that into your calculator, you get 0.785. This is a weird question. I've actually given you the answer here. So this 0.785 is the area of this, and we worked out that the area of this was a half. We worked it out up here, remember, and so you add those together. So 0.785 plus a half gives you, of course, 1.285, and this is our working for it here. Find the force applied to the area of the composite shape when the pressure is 5 newtons per meter squared. If it's 1.285 meters squared, then that's quite straightforward. Force then is just 5 times 1.285. And we get then 6.43